may be the greatest catch I've ever seen in my life.
Alright guys, after this video, pretty much every single video that we're going to be making on this channel is going to come from the questions that y'all are asking. That's going to come from y'all asking your start-sit questions, your trade questions, and also you sending me your rosters so I can break them down in depth and really try to advise you who to start, what players you may want to trade away, what players you may want to trade for to really optimize your roster in your league format. But guys, that is all going to be done through Instagram and Twitter. Hopefully I remember to put them on the screen. There you can go follow me on Instagram. Please don't DM me right away, guys. I'm going to be putting a story up saying swipe up with screenshots of your roster for me to break it down and grade it. And then on the same thing with Twitter, well, you'll see whenever we are looking for something for the video. But yeah, go follow us there. That should be popping up later tonight with that story for me looking to get some of your questions. But that's it. Let's get into this video and let's start talking about some running backs that I think we need to be trading away in fantasy football going into week 10. And guys, we're going to start it off with a running back that I actually really like as a premium handcuff type running back. I actually advised y'all to go out there and pick him up off your waiver wire 2 weeks ago, and I do like this running back in the long term, but based on the questions that I've been getting in the live streams, absolutely insane with where y'all are currently valuing him. Zach Moss. Guys, with Zach Moss, I know he looks like he has overtaken that running back 1 spot from Devin Singletary, but I was never telling y'all to invest into Devin Singletary. He was one of the most overvalued players coming into the 2020 NFL season, but at the end of the day, we have to acknowledge the fact that even if this backfield's maybe split 51-49 in the favor of Zach Moss, it really is not going to equate to a ton of fantasy football production, because in the instance of Zach Moss, we are actually seeing Josh Allen vulture a good amount of touchdowns at the goal line. And yeah, I know that's not something we can say is going to happen every single week, but this is the exact problem that we had to deal with Jonathan Stewart way back in Carolina with Cam Newton. I mean, right now, Josh Allen looks like he is exactly the same type of quarterback that Cam Newton was in terms of stealing that running back production away from his starter. And I think with Zach Moss, he's going to be more of a boom or bust RB2. Someone that is going to have a lot of running back 3 weeks as well. Someone that I am really not looking to put in my starting lineup anytime soon. I still like him as a premium handcuff running back. If anything happens to Devin Singletary in this backfield, I think Zach Moss could vault up to being a high-end running back 2, low-end running back 1, but I do not want to go pay that price right now. If you can go and sell Zach Moss as a mid running back 2, if you could sell Zach Moss for possibly an injured David Montgomery, while David Montgomery may not be as talented as a running back, we know that he is going to be getting significantly more touches in his offense. That's something that I think would make a ton of sense. Okay, so now our next sell high candidate at the running back position. You're not even going to be selling him high compared to where his value was earlier this season, but you are going to be selling him higher than I think he is actually worth. Raheem Mostert. Guys, with Raheem, the problem is I think the San Francisco 49ers offense is not going to be able to provide us near the type of production that we initially projected for it at the very beginning of the season. We know that Raheem has had a problem in his past of not really getting targets out of the backfield. He's mainly used as a first and second down grinder for the San Francisco 49ers, and that's completely fine when the 49ers are one of the best offenses in the NFL, when they have an elite run blocking offensive line, but that is not currently the case. Guys, with losing both Jimmy Garoppolo and George Kittle, we have to significantly lower our expectations in what we can project from this running back position out of San Francisco. This is not to even mention the fact that regardless of what is going on, we are actually going to end up seeing touches go to Jerick McKinnon. We are going to see touches go to Tevin Coleman once Tevin Coleman's fully healthy. So the last thing I want to be doing is investing into a injured wide receiver on an offense that we don't project to necessarily be that prolific and that is going to be sharing a running back backfield whenever he comes back from injury. Guys, with Raheem Mostert, I'm very sorry if you've held on this far, but I may just be looking to sell as soon as he comes back from injury. Okay, now our next running back, someone else that I've been trying to get y'all to sell for pretty much the past month now, Ronald Jones. Guys, with Ronald Jones, I know a lot of people want to look at this past week's performance against the New Orleans Saints and say that it was actually a little bit positive for Ronald Jones, and that he got the beginning looks at the running back position until this game got out of hand. And then, of course, we saw Leonard Fournette come in here. And also, Ronald Jones actually got a couple receptions in this game. But guys, I'm going to be saying that Ronald Jones is still the same exact running back that he was a week ago. He's still a running back that is a committee running back, seeing all of the useless touches in his offense, the carries between the 20s. Like I said in the last video, we need the running backs that are getting the targets out of the backfield. We need the running backs that are getting usage at the goal line. That is why I would definitely prefer a DeAndre Swift over Ronald Jones, even though Ronald Jones may out-touch Swift one-to-one. I think that the touches that we are actually going to see DeAndre Swift accumulate in terms of those receptions, in terms of the usage in the red zone, is actually going to be a lot more valuable than the touches Ronald Jones is going to see. Okay, now our next running back, someone else that I've been trying to get y'all to sell for a month, Darrel Henderson. Guys, with Darrel Henderson coming back from this thigh injury a little bit earlier than expected, I'm going to be looking to cash out for pretty much whatever I can get. If I could trade Darrel Henderson in a small piece for DeAndre Swift, that is something that I would love to do, because I am still standing by the fact that Cam Akers is the most talented running back in this backfield. I think the reason we did not see that Cam Akers production earlier on this season is he kind of rushed his way back from that rib injury, where there was no point for Sean McVay really to have Cam Akers playing significant snaps. As soon as we saw Darrel Henderson go down, Cam Akers came in the game. Cam Akers looked extremely talented. I am so excited for what we can see with Cam Akers in 2020. And I'll say right now, with Darrel Henderson, even if he maintains this job over Akers, which is definitely a possibility, we have to acknowledge the fact that he is just not getting used in the passing game whatsoever. Once they get to third down, they are taking Darrel Henderson off the field, not even considering throwing him the ball. Okay, so now, guys, we're going to end this video a little bit early in terms of going through these running backs that I think we need to be selling high, just because I didn't really have any other running backs to talk about after this. But what we are going to be doing instead is we are going to be getting extra listener questions to go over at the big end of this video. So, guys, all of these questions came from our last video. If you want your listener questions answered at the end of a video, please make sure you go down there to the comments, leave your question, and I'll try my very best to get to it. Okay, now our first question coming out from Luke. Luke, thank you so much for supporting the channel, man. And your question here was, I sold Adam Thielen for Miles Sanders. How did I do? Man, you absolutely murdered the guy. I mean, Miles Sanders, a 3-down running back for the rest of the season, knowing that he is not only going to be playing a position that's a lot harder to get production at, but he is also going to be able to straight up outproduce Adam Thielen rest of the season. I mean, Justin Jefferson is now the wide receiver 1 in Minnesota. I absolutely love that trade, man. Okay, so our next question coming out from Jalen Akers. Man, thank you for your support. You're saying, guy in my league was so frustrated with Zeke, I got him for Kenyon Drake. Yeah, guys, that's exactly what I was talking about whenever I was saying to go and try to buy Ezekiel Elliott on the low. Obviously, we're not paying anything close to the prices that you paid in your fantasy football draft, but if you can get a deal done like this, I mean, that is an absolute no-brainer when we know that Ezekiel Elliott is going to have that workload that may not necessarily allow him to be a top 5 running back, just because the efficiency will not be there in a much worse offense without Dak Prescott. But the workload itself will allow him to be a low-end running back 1, because there are very few running backs that are seeing 20 touches every single week. And I think that we are going to see some positive regression in the touchdown category for Ezekiel Elliott. Okay, so now our next question coming out from Paul. Paul, man, thank you so much for your support. Your question here is pick 4, Juju Smith-Schuster, Robert Woods, Chris Godwin, Christian Kirk, and Travis Fulgham. So really, we're just picking 2 guys to sit here. And I think an easy sit for us is actually going to be Travis Fulgham. I know that's going to surprise a lot of people who may not be used to this fantasy football channel. But guys, Fulgham is going to be losing targets to Jalen Reagor. Fulgham is going to be losing targets to Dallas Goedert. I promise you, please, 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 do not be expecting Travis Fulgham to be putting up that type of production he did earlier this season. It's just not going to happen, because he's not going to get the targets. And now between Robert Woods, Chris Godwin, Christian Kirk, Juju, and Deontay Johnson, now it's going to be a little bit harder to decide what wide receiver we want to be sitting out of this group. I'll say at the very end of it, I think that we are just going to end up going with Christian Kirk, because Robert Woods is playing a fantastic matchup in the Seattle Seahawks this week, as well as Deontay Johnson and Juju Smith-Schuster against the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, Chris Godwin versus Christian Kirk, I mean, with Godwin, he played almost every single snap for this Tampa Bay Buccaneers offense this past week. I think we expect the same thing. I think we expect a massive blow-up bounce-back performance from Tom Brady. So honestly, I think that we are going to go with Godwin. Okay, so Meech coming out with our last question. Thank you, man. Your question here is, should I start Chase Edmonds, Nick Chubb, or Kenny Golladay at the flex this week? Here with Kenny Golladay, really not going to be relying on him. Worried about that injury, worried that he may not necessarily be able to come in here and perform 100% what he is, just because this is going to be an easy matchup for the Detroit Lions as well. So really, there's no reason for them to push that hip injury. Now, between Chase Edmonds or Nick Chubb, it's going to be very simple for me here. If we don't have Kenyon Drake good to go this week, I think we are going to go with Chase Edmonds because he's going to be seeing an elite level workload in that backfield in a game that should have a lot of points scored. If Kenyon Drake is active, though, we are going to start Nick Chubb. Now, thank you guys. I really hope y'all enjoyed this video. I really hope y'all got something from it. As always, if y'all did, please make sure you go down there, drop a like, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel. It really, really helps us out. And I hope I see y'all in the live stream on Saturday night.